welcome to the Pedestal Wife Society. My name is Braille, and I started this conversation on TikTok, and I decided I wouldn't bring it here. I got less than 20 minutes, so I'm gonna really get into it really quickly. I've been looking at some information and statistics and research based off of women and wealth, and some of the things I found that was very surprising, and it doesn't align with what I'm seeing on social media. Social media is doing a good job of bringing women against professional degrees, marriage, and business. But then when you do the research, it shows that majority of women in America who are able to enjoy wealth, they either enjoy it through an inheritance from their father or through marriage, or basically through marriage. And so when we cut off all avenues of wealth and we decide we're not going to have a business, we're not going to get any type of professional degree, we're not going to get married, this cuts off all of our avenues to wealth, and women live longer. So all of my young women that's in my content that follow me, maybe you don't know who I am, maybe you're new to my page. My name is Braille. I am the creator of the Pedestal Wife Society. I encourage you to really rethink the avenues of wealth that you have, and to not get caught up in what social media is telling you is right or wrong. Do what is authentically resonating with you, because I don't want women to cut off their avenues to wealth. I started having this conversation on TikTok. If you want to go to my TikTok, the link should be somewhere in my bio. Hey, Ink72, where you been at, girl? You need to be very, very wary of people telling you to ignore marriage, ignore business, ignore professional degree, because these are the three ways that women use in order to have an excess wealth in America. It is still happening. It is still happening today. It's old as time that women were able to have access to wealth through marriage. So when you decide I'm anti-marriage, that's one way you're cutting off your avenue to wealth. Then you decide, oh, I don't want any type of professional degree with a high income, then you're cutting off your avenue to wealth. Then if you decide, oh, I am also anti-business, you're cutting your avenue off to wealth. And see, this is the thing, the messaging that's out there towards young women is very detrimental to your future. So you need to really start thinking about it. I've never been anti-degree. I've never been anti-marriage. And I'm definitely not anti-business, as you can tell. I have a successful business. I am also married. So, and I also have a professional degree. So all of these things have been able to give me certain access to life that a lot of women do not have. And this is how I was able to achieve these things in the first place, is because I utilized my marriage. I married well, so he was able to support me so that I can, raise my babies, stay at home, be a stay-at-home mother and wife. And then once they got older, I can go ahead and, build that business. I got the degree while I was a stay-at-home mother and wife. And so when you don't utilize all of these avenues that are available to women, and you cut access to it, and you tell women that it's bad if you get married, it's bad if you have a business, it's bad if you have a degree, you're literally making sure that the woman that lives longer than men is not going to be able to live a great life, not ever experience wealth. And these are the ways that we have wealth in America. American women are able to access wealth through marriage, through professional degrees, and through business. These are the avenues. So if you keep hearing the same messages over and over and over, that these things are bad and you shouldn't have them, or you shouldn't have access to them, or that you can't have a soft life because you have these things, it is incorrect. I've definitely been able to create a soft life. That's the reason why I can come live to you now and have this conversation, because it's highly important. Women do live longer than the man. The provider dies. He does. Even if he leaves you with resources, he still dies before you. And so since you're going to live longer, it is to your detriment that you have resources so that you can live a good and healthy life, a good and, high quality life, versus one where you're not getting the things that you want, or you're begging Peter to pay Paul. I'm going to catch you live. I'm glad I could catch you live. Absolutely. I'm glad you're here also. It's good to see some familiar faces in the building, because I have a lot of new people that are coming in on my live streams. I'm like, who are you? And they're probably like, who am I? We both looking at each other. But the whole point is, women live longer. Do not cut all your access or avenues or to wealth. You don't want to do that to yourself. I know social media is so enticing, and so many people are showing and saying certain things. You're like, who do I listen to? Do what resonates. Do what is going to be in alignment with your life. Don't sit here and don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because you heard something on social media. Because the research is out there. Most of my content is research based. I don't just say stuff out the side of my neck. I don't just be talking. All of this is coming from research. Majority of women who have access to wealth, they either get it through the inheritance from their father or through marriage. And marriage happens to be still the #1 way for women to get wealthy, to have access to resources. And since it's still the #1 way, when you decide I'm going to cut off, I'm going to be anti-marriage, I don't want to get married, marriage isn't for me, so you're cutting off that access. So that's one thing you are not going to have access to. So then you have two other ways you can do that. Is professional degrees. So if you decide, oh, I don't want to go to college, I don't want a professional degree, I don't want to have to do the work that requires to go to college, then that's another way you're cutting off access to wealth for a woman. And then you decide, oh, I don't want to run a business, it's too much. Running a business is just going to be too much on me. And that's all of the ways you've cutting off access to get wealth in America. And especially as a woman, you will live up to 79. So up to 79 years of age, a woman has, according to research, that's the average age that she lives to. So you have to have resources to live that long and happy life. You have to have a way where you can live your best life. So when social media comes in, it's telling you not to do these things because of, there's so many people that are against marriage these days anyway. You see so many couples on social media that I understand why women are like, I don't want marriage anymore. I get it. Because I'm on social media too, and I come across these couples also, and I realize, okay, that's that couple. You can still create something for yourself. You can still have a happy, healthy marriage. It doesn't have to be the dysfunctional marriages that you see on social media. You don't have to have that. You can create something for you and your husband. You can create the marriage of your heart, the marriage of your desire, and you don't have to be stuck in the dysfunction that you see on social media. Remember, a lot of the times these people, it's not about representing marriage in a good light. It's about making coins. It's about making money. So they don't care if they make marriage look bad. So don't just say, I'm not going to get married. Remember, women are still doing it in the old-fashioned way. We're still, and I know this may sound bad. I think some of you all young people, you might be like, this is bad. Women are still only being able to get access to wealth through marriage. But this is the way we've done it since the beginning of time. We've always, let me tell you this, we've always used marriage to our benefit to have access to wealth. We've always married well so that we can build upon whatever that marriage brings. We've always done it. And so, of course, you would think it has changed, and that we have, especially with social media, you would think all of us, we've changed the dynamic so much that women are independent and they're building business on their own, they're doing it all by themselves. The numbers don't play that out. The numbers don't play it out. Women are still utilizing marrying well, even if it's in the capacity of getting his support and let him pour in to the business. We still marrying well so he can pour into the business so we can create that multimillionaire business. We're still doing that today. This is still one of the ways that women become the 1%. This is still a way that we're getting access to wealth, but through marriage, by marrying well. So if you want to cut all access to wealth, we need to make sure that we don't cut all our options off. Which means that if you're going to decide, I don't want to get married, baby, you better go get you a professional degree. If you don't want to get a professional degree, baby, you better have a business idea. And it better be a good one. Because as women, you will live longer. And since you're going to live longer, you're going to need more resources. One of the things economists are telling women to do is to invest more, because you will live longer. The provider will die. Even if he leaves you with resources, you need to have 3 times as much as what your husband possibly would leave you, because you're going to live longer to enjoy grandchildren and to enjoy life, your golden years. But they won't be so golden if you don't have access to the resources. I'm just going to tell you, they won't be so golden. If you can just imagine what life would be like if you cut all of those avenues to wealth. And so This may not be the conversation that people want to hear. We always want to hear about the provider, the feminine energy. I talk about all of that all the time also. But I've been doing my research and I've been following how women are getting wealthy in America. And I realized that we're still doing it the old way. We're still doing it the old-fashioned way, where we get married and we marry well. And then through him either making us a widow or we're getting divorced, we use those resources to build that multimillionaire company, or we use that money to build our resources up. We are still doing it the old way. And so when we decide you don't want to get married, you just cut off one access to wealth. If you decide you don't want a professional degree, you just cut off another access to wealth. If you say I don't want a business, you just cut off another access to wealth. But then guess what? If you keep cutting off all the access to wealth, the ways to get wealthy as a woman in America, you will possibly regret that, because these are the ways to make that money. And yes, there's the exceptions out here, but of course I don't talk about exceptions. Exceptions are not the rules. We need to focus more on the rules and not the exceptions. The exceptions is getting out the mud by yourself and being a single woman. That's the exceptions. That's truly the exceptions. I know women don't want to hear that. You want to hear that we've progressed and we no longer just marry well. You want to hear we did it by ourselves. We got out the mud and we became independently wealthy. I'm going to tell you the numbers do not align. The research is out there for anyone who wants to look, because I'm so interested in women's longevity and their wealth and them living their best life. I want to know all the information on how to make that happen, not just for you, but for myself, because I'm a little older. I'm in my mid 40s, and since I'm in my mid 40s, I want to know what are the best ways to make sure that when my golden years are golden. And I did the research and I realized that women are still doing it the old-fashioned way. We want to believe that we've came so far, that now that we're so independent, we're getting it out the mud, we're doing it without men. It's not true. It is not true. Go look at the numbers yourself if you don't believe me, because I know it's going to trigger women to believe that they don't understand that they're not so independent as they believe. Even when it comes to marriage and me, even when I'm married. So if I build a business while I'm married because my husband is supporting me so I can do these things, I still didn't do it alone. I still had a lot of support. And that's the conversation nobody wants to have. Even if you're married and you're getting that type of support, you're not doing it alone. And I know I'm not doing it alone. So I never would claim to be self-made or anything. I will always claim my husband supported me so I can do what I do. And so I can build this successful business. He's been right there with me. So I married well. And I did it the old-fashioned way, not really thinking about it. But maybe so, because I was raised by my grandmother. So I was always taught the old-fashioned ways of doing things. Always taught about how women create wealth in America. And that's something we need to face and be honest about, because the more that you lie to yourself, the least likely you're not going to be able to create those golden years for yourself. If you lie to yourself about how the wealth is made in America and how to get it done, you're going to cut off all avenues or access to wealth because of your pride. Don't let your ego and pride destroy your future. Destroy you being able to have access to wealth and being able to marry well, or being able to have that professional degree or have that business, whatever access or path that you decide for yourself. Make a decision. Don't get caught up in social media where they're telling you there's so much programming out here of you shouldn't get married, you shouldn't go to school, you shouldn't have a business. There's so much programming out here, and it's so easy to get caught up in. There's so many movements that if you listen to them, it will cut off the access of wealth for you. Because in America, this is how we're doing it. This is what the numbers show how we're doing it. The numbers don't lie. People may lie, but the numbers never do. And the numbers are saying that women are still doing it in the old-fashioned way. Or if they're not doing it in the old-fashioned way, they're still getting professional degrees. Even with higher income, do y'all realize that even with higher income, women are still getting access to wealth through the husband that they have, not through their own income. Women are still doing it the old-fashioned way, even if they have that degree, even if they have that higher paying job, they still end up getting wealth through their husband and not through themselves. And nobody wants to talk about that because we want to focus in on what we want to focus in on. I'm more focused in on women living longer needing more resources, and ringing the alarm so that women that's behind me, because I'm already set. I already did everything I need to do because I already had access to this information. And I'm the type of person, I face reality. I don't pretend it's something that it isn't. It is what it is in my mind. So if one of the ways for me to get access to wealth and security and stability is marriage, professional degrees, and business, I'm going to go ahead and knock it out and get it done. But the younger women who are susceptible to the programming on social media of no marriage, no degrees, no business, and it sounds, the soft life movement, you can still have the soft life and still have those things. I'm not sure what we got here to this space where you can't have the soft life and have those things, because that's not true. You can. With the more access to resources and wealth that you have, the more that you can create the soft life, the more that you can outsource, the more that you can hire, the more that you can get help. And it's actually better off on this side of life versus the other. So be careful who you listen to, because my goal is for women to live great, to live long, to live happy, because you will live longer than the provider that you end up with. I don't care. I have a provider. My husband is absolutely a provider. That's the reason why I can be on this social media and do these type of live streams and have these type of conversations, because he's a provider. So I can do that. But the provider dies because usually men die before the woman. And this means I still need to make sure that not only is all of the estate and resources are together, I need to make sure that I have enough so that my golden years will be golden. And I want that for you also. I don't want women to get distracted by what you see on social media. I don't want you to cut out all of your avenues and access to wealth. Remember, in America, the numbers bear this out. You can go find the numbers there. I literally posted one of the articles on my TikTok, and I talked about the fact that the numbers are still showing that women still get access to wealth through marriage. That's a big component of women getting access to wealth. And then you got anti-marriage out here where women are like, I don't want to get married. Marriage is not for me. And like I said, I get it. I understand it. If I could just erase all of the dysfunctional married couples that I come across daily, I would, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of dysfunctional couples out here that are married. And I understand what women are like, I don't know if I want that. Trust me, there's something better on the other side of this. Those women, those people on social media, they are not, and they do not represent marriage. There are actually happily married people out here who are loving, who are caring, who take care of each other, who are compliments to each other. So don't think that that is the representation of marriage, because those people are not. Those people are out here they're trying to make money. That's what they're trying to do, trying to make money, because it's ridiculous out here. It's hard for me to even find you all some happily married people. But happily married people don't be on social media like that. That's why it's hard to find them, because they're not up there. They're living their best life behind the scenes, not in front of the camera. And so I'm trying to find them for you, because I want you to have some good representations of marriage. I want you to see happily married couples in front of the camera, but it's hard because most of us don't want to get in the front of the camera. Most of us try to keep our relationship private. Tylee the dope girl, where you been at? Where you been at? I haven't seen you in a while. But women live longer. And it's your responsibility, because you're going to live longer. And remember, the provider dies eventually. And yes, he's going to leave you with resources. He's going to leave you with the estate. He's going to leave you with things. But you need to make sure that's going to last through your golden years. And if you are already if you already have the mentality that you're anti-marriage, women in America, they build a lot of their access to wealth off of marriage. They build a lot of the things that you see that people have off of marriage. Even when it comes to them building their business, a lot of women build their business off of their marriage, because if you weren't married and had that support, you wouldn't have had the ability to build the business. So don't get to this space of being anti-marriage and anti-professional degree and anti-business. All three of these ways are access to wealth. I don't want women to cut off their access to wealth, especially when you live longer. You will live longer than a man. You absolutely will. And since you live longer than a man and you want your golden years to be golden, you need to have resources. This is the reason why I'm starting to see a lot of economists and others who are in these fields and looking at how women are living longer, but they're not thriving in the golden years, that they're calling for women to be more wealthy. They're calling for you to invest more. And I agree with that. A lot of you all like talk about working a 9-to-5 business. No one talks about the feminine investor. No one talks about the woman who just invests. And this can also be a part of your soft life plan. Being a feminine investor, when you invest in real estate, you invest in properties or in oil and gas or stocks with dividends. This is going to be helpful to you to get access to that wealth long term and live your best life in your golden years. So I'm going to keep speaking out about it because I think it's counterproductive. And to me, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist too. I'd be like, maybe they're trying to make sure that women do not have access to wealth in that manner. Maybe they don't. They want you to be working through your golden years. And I don't want you to be working through your golden years. It's no fun. None of the women in my family worked during their golden years. We were able to retire because we understand that you have to have, as a woman, you have to have access to some type of wealth. Either you do it through marriage, or you do it through a professional degree, or you do it through a business. You need to figure it out. Because time flies when you're having fun. Time flies before you know it. For you're 20 years old, enjoying life and going out, and eventually you're 40 years old. You're 40 years old. So you got to have a plan, and you cannot just drop the ball on this. Even, like I said, even the economists are asking women to invest more because women need the money more because you will live longer. I said, that's my rant. That's my rant. I know a lot of people aren't in the room when you're like, logic. It's just logic. It's just logic. That's all it is. I like research. I like, biology, psychology. I like to, read information that's actually going to help overall. And women do live longer. That's just a fact. It's not a statement. It's not to cause divisiveness between men and women. It's just what it is. And since women live longer, women have to plan. Women have to make sure that they're doing what they can to get access to wealth. And since women have been doing and getting access to wealth in the same way forever, and I know that goes back to a time when women did not have access to resources. So they didn't have access to resources. They had to get married. They had to marry well in order to get access. So, but we're still doing it today. We're still doing it. We still have the same process. If you were to go look at the top 1% women in America, you will notice that they either inherited from their father or they got it through a marriage. So even with all of the progress in 2023, women are still getting access to wealth through marriage. That is how we're getting our wealth. That is how we're building these businesses. That is how we're getting the support to get ahead and live our best lives in our golden years. It may not be talked about. It may not be something no one wants to admit because we want to believe that we're beyond that now, that we've grown beyond that. But I can tell you the research doesn't bear that out. The research doesn't bear it out. It doesn't show it. Maybe in 10 years from now it will. It's not there now. So stop listening to social media encouraging you to cut off your access to wealth. Stop listening to all these girlies who don't understand real life and reality, and they're stuck in social media land, and they don't talk about the fact that you're going to get, before you know it, you're young and beautiful now. Eventually you'll be 70. Eventually you'll be 40. Eventually you'll be 50. And if you cut all your access to wealth, those golden years won't be so golden. And so I'm warning women now, like I said, it's not a popular topic. It's not meant to be. I don't do popular topics all the time. I don't even do trending topics. I do what my heart says to do. I do what God is putting me to say. And I just let it loose. Even if it is triggering, even if no one likes it, because I just don't like the fact that I see so many women saying, hey, telling women not to get any type of professional degree. Okay? And then telling them not to have a business and telling them not to get married. So those are 3 access to wealth that you have cut off for yourself. And women in America, they get their wealth through those things. The number one thing is still marriage. You still will be able to build your resources, build your business, build yourself up within a marriage. That is the reason why some of us who have successful businesses and we're married, if the husband is supporting us and paying into our business so that we can do these things. Because at one point, my business didn't make nothing. Like, probably for like a year or 2, my business did not make anything. I never had the business where it just jumped off and I was making all this money. And sometimes I'd be thinking that that's not the truth either for some people who say it. But, you know, it sounds good. Nobody wants to talk about, as a business owner, how you ain't gonna make any money, how you might be doing services for free, how you might be creating for free, how you might be advertising for free. Everything is for free in the very beginning. And him being able to support me and pay for all the things I need, paying for my equipment, paying for me to take the pictures, paying for me to get the website up, paying for me to get all these things up, that is what helped build my business and helped me get here, where it is a business that's operational, that it brings in a substantial amount of income every single month. It's consistent now. But at one point, it wasn't consistent. So when you listen to people on social media and they're like, don't get married. Like, you don't even have to. When I found marriage can still be beneficial even if you don't marry a millionaire. You don't have to marry a millionaire. My husband wasn't a millionaire when I married him. He wasn't. He grew. He got there through hard work. But he wasn't there. But you don't have to marry a millionaire. You just need to marry well. You need to marry a man who's ambitious, who has higher income, which is what they said in the research. Just as long as he has a decent, he's financially stable, that's what I promote. But of course, the article said he has to have a higher income. And this is the research that I found about women and wealth. Women need wealth because you live longer. It's not for something superficial because you need Chanel. It's not for something because you need to be able to jet set from one island to the next. It is because you live longer that you need wealth. And wealth per se does not mean that you have to be filthy rich. It just means that you need to be financially stable, because eventually youth becomes mid-40s. Mid-40s becomes mid-60s. Mid-60s becomes a senior. And if you don't have any money, those golden years aren't going to be so golden. They aren't going to be some golden. So you need to not cut off your access to wealth. You need to have wealth. Don't get caught up in the social media where they're saying you don't need this. Because to a certain extent, I'm starting to see the soft life as the lazy life. And I hate to say that because I believe in a soft life. I believe that women can have the soft life. But when I hear the soft life girlies knocking down marriage, knocking down business, knocking down professional degrees, so where's the access to wealth going to come from? Where's the soft life going to come from? Life is not going to be so soft in poverty. It's just not. It's going to be hard. And don't get caught up in what you see on social media, because some of these people aren't telling the truth because they don't live in reality. They live in Delulu land. They've created a false reality that does not exist. Unapology M3, so true. Absolutely. Ink 72, awareness is key. Awareness is key. Great topic. Thank you. But it has to be said, because I'm all about the soft life. I created a soft life for myself. That's the reason why in about 20 minutes, I can go pick up my daughter. I can go have lunch with her because she's in school. I can do all these things because I have a soft life. But I also know it would not be so soft if I wouldn't have gotten and married well, because that's where it began. That's where it began. So if I was anti-marriage, okay, and that's when access to wealth, and then at one point I didn't have a business, so I'd have been no business. And for a long time, I didn't have a professional degree. I got my professional degree in my late 30s. In my late 30s. So if you cut off all access to wealth for women, and this is how women create their wealth in America. This is how we have the 1% of women. If you were to go do the research of how millionaires, women millionaires, and women billionaires got their wealth in America. And it'll blow your mind. And you're going to learn that most of those women that are on those lists, that either got their money through an inheritance from their father, or through a marriage or, you know, being a widow. But it still started through the things I just talked about. So when you get on social media and social media is telling you, hey, no marriage, don't get married, you can't trust anybody, don't get married, you know, we don't like marriage, who cares about being married? Okay, that's one access shut down. And then they tell you, hey, you don't want to run a business, business is complicated, it's a lot to run a business, that's another access shutting down. And then you don't need a degree, you don't want to get in debt, you don't want to have to pay that money back, that's another access. Professional degrees, another way to shut down access to wealth. When women need access to wealth, you have to figure out which path you're going to take to get that access. Most of us, like I said, most women are still doing it the same old-fashioned way. We are still getting married and married well, and this is giving us access to wealth. I know, like I said before, most women don't want to admit, since we're still doing it that way, you would think that we would be, the numbers would change and the way that women get access to wealth would change, that we would be getting out the mud and we will be doing independent, like without any type of guy on our, you know, any guy in our life. And that's not true. You go look at the research and go find out how millionaires and billionaires, women, billionaires and millionaires, and how they got access to their wealth. And you're going to find the same thing that I just talked about. You're going to find that either they inherited from their father or they got it through marriage. And so when you get on social media and they're saying, oh, don't ever get married, marriage is the worst, or don't get a degree because it's gonna be too much debt, or don't start a business because it's gonna be too stressful, you all don't listen to them. Don't listen to them, because eventually you won't be so young. You won't be so young, and you do not want to make your golden years a nightmare. Nephew Susan, hey girl, hey. You don't want to make your golden years a nightmare. So don't be so eager to listen to them about what not to get involved in. Remember, you're still an authentic being. Be true to yourself. Do what resonates with you. You don't even gotta listen to me. I'm just an older woman who actually cares about how and what direction women are going into, and realizing that women are gonna live longer. They're calling, even economists are calling for women to be wealthier, because they're starting to see the results of women not being wealthy. They're starting to see the results of women in their golden years and, you know, experiencing homelessness or experiencing lack. And I don't want that for women. So I always talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about, even if it makes me unpopular, even if it makes me unlikable. I'm still going to say it because I need to say it, because it's one of my duties as one of the older woman in this community to say and actually give you a piece of wisdom that's going to help you do something in life. And if you dismiss all those access to wealth, you are going to be struggling in your golden years. And this is going to shut down because it's hot. It's hot because I'm in my car. I know I'm not doing no videos in my car, but I am picking up my baby in a few, and we're going to go to lunch. You know, the soft life, which you can create on your own. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do strange things for change to create that soft life. Okay, I hate to cut up the air. All right, so I don't see anybody talking about back, so I'm going to get ready to go. But I just wanted to say it. I felt like I needed to say it. I think I'll post a video on Instagram too, because I already posted it on TikTok. And I already started the conversation over there, so I'm gonna post it over here so you all can see it, because there's a lot of research, and there's a lot of economists, and there's a lot of people talking about how women get